So Amber Heard is now blaming Virginia for losing the trial. And I'm going to explain in this video my views on why I think that is a weak legal argument and it's not going to go anywhere. So welcome back, you 250,000 black belt subscribers, but if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm a barrister who helps you understand law. So in Amber Heard's appeal brief, she's now making what I think to be quite an unbelievable and nonsensical argument. That is that she lost this trial because it was filed in Virginia. She blames Virginia on a legal technicality known as forum non-conveniens, which essentially means it's not convenient to have had the trial in that location. She says that because she says that she was unable to get sufficient witnesses to the trial to have a proper trial. However, as you'll recall, there was significant video testimony and Johnny Depp seemed to be able to get enough witnesses there from all over the world, in fact, which is one of the things that I'll be talking about in this video. So, spoiler alert, I think this legal argument has no weight at all. It's not going to go anywhere, and to me, in my respectful view, feels a bit desperate. So forum is the place of where the trial was held. Non meaning not, and conveniens meaning convenience. So the forum, the place that it was had, was not convenient. Amber Heard literally argues that it was not convenient to have this trial in Virginia. So, in fact, she even says Virginia was a completely inconvenient forum to have this trial in. And she's asking the court to dismiss this case without prejudice, meaning that Johnny Depp would still be able to refile the case in California. But she's arguing that because it was so inconvenient to have this trial in Virginia and couldn't get the witnesses there that she wanted, the court should dismiss the case. So let's break this down and consider it in some more detail. Let's think about why this was filed in Virginia in the first place. Well, this was a ruling by the judge and the court that when the op-ed, which this was all about, the defamatory article, was uploaded to the internet and made public and published, the court ruled that that was the moment that it was published and it was uploaded to the internet servers in Virginia. Hence, a connection with the article, a connection with the case, a connection with the defamation, a connection with the claim for the article and defamation that ensued. So because it was uploaded to the internet in Virginia, and that's where it was published, the court ruled that that was the most appropriate place for this case to be filed. Now, of course, it could have been filed elsewhere. There were lots of other places that had a connection with this case. California, for example, where Johnny Depp lives. In fact, Amber Heard argues that it should have been somewhere else. On one hand, she says that it should be filed in a place where someone reads it, because that's where it becomes defamation. Now, my channel here is humbly small in the grand scheme of things, but I get something around 3 to 5 million views a month on this channel, and you guys, my viewers, are from all around the world. So if someone were to read something that was defamatory from somewhere else in the world, clearly there are hundreds of other places that a lawsuit could be filed on the basis of that argument. If it were literally based on where someone reads a defamatory article, that could quite literally be anywhere by anyone, any jurisdiction, any city, any country, and any legal jurisdiction in the world, because this is a worldwide platform. Much like most internet articles that are uploaded, they go out to the world virtually instantaneously, provided that that country has an appropriate connection to the platform. Now, some platforms are banned in certain countries and not accessible, but that will be too far off track for this video. The point being, one of the arguments that Amber raises is that it should have been filed where, at least in one place, someone has read that article which is claimed to be defamatory. An alternative argument that Amber Heard makes is that it should have been filed instead where the person who was defamed has suffered the most damage, which in this case would be where they live, which in this case would be Johnny Depp, which in this case would be California, which is one place that has a connection with the case. However, in my view, there is no stronger connection to California than there is Virginia, because the article was uploaded within Virginia. So whilst this is a question of law, a legal technicality, I think it's a little bit of a silly argument because, after all, it was uploaded in Virginia. The court ruled that that's the place that had the connection with the article, therefore with the case and the claim and the defamation. And since the court's already ruled on that, it's highly unlikely that the court is going to go back on its own ruling that that was an appropriate forum for this case to be tried. Nonetheless, Amber is arguing that the court didn't listen to that argument and Virginia really wasn't convenient, and that California would have been more convenient on the basis of the witnesses. But before we get into talking about the witnesses, let's not forget that the trial did go ahead. It was several weeks long, and lots of witnesses did attend. Lots of them for Johnny Depp travelled very far, and for Amber Heard, lots of them appeared by video deposition, and of course her sister attended in person. Now, you'll recall that I have various issues with the evidence given by her sister. I've covered that in other videos. I'll try to link as many of those as I can in the description below if you want to go back and revisit those. But for me, the consistency and the credibility of her sister's evidence could be called into question. Again, remembering that there are different places that have significant connections to this case. So again, before we go on to the witnesses, other places that have obvious connections to this case, apart from those argued by Amber where someone has read it and where Johnny Depp lives. How about Australia? There was a lot of this story, if you will, that played out in Australia. Lots of different events were covered in Australia, and that could be one forum where the claim could have been filed. Equally, in the United Kingdom, you could easily argue that the UK had a significant connection to the case. But overall, as I said, the court ruled that Virginia was a sufficient connection to the case because that's where the article was uploaded. And not to mention Johnny Depp's island, that had a connection with the case as well. But of course, that would not be a convenient place to file this lawsuit. So Amber goes on to talk about whether witnesses could actually come to the trial, but we have to remember that some witnesses for this trial as a whole did come from all over the world. Now, surely that wasn't convenient, but witnesses do and did make the effort to attend if they feel that their evidence has a significant contribution to the case. For example, if you were on holiday in another jurisdiction and you witnessed something absolutely horrendous and your details were taken because they wanted you ultimately to be a witness, and then later on you felt a compelling need to go and give evidence in that jurisdiction, it's a flight and a trip out to give evidence if it's something that you truly believe in, that you need to give your evidence so that the trial is absolutely fair based on the evidence that you can give. That's exactly what happened in this case. Witnesses came from all over the world. As I say, surely that wasn't convenient, but that's surely what happened. Now, in this case, Amber is arguing about witnesses coming from other states. Now, even if you can't make a witness come from another state to Virginia to give evidence, you can, of course, get video deposition. Amber says that she was unable to get her witnesses to trial and was forced to rely on these designations, which is videos shown to the jury, and the only live evidence was from her sister. But as I've said a little bit earlier, I have problems with that myself anyway. But it does beg the question as to why all of these other witnesses that she claims to rely on didn't come to the Virginia trial in the first place. Was it in fact because Virginia was really inconvenient and they didn't want to travel there, or was there another reason that they didn't want to come? For example, they just didn't want to come to give live evidence at the trial. Whereas all of Johnny Depp's witnesses that did turn up in person, that didn't live in Virginia, they did travel to Virginia because they did want to come and give evidence. So in my view, it's nothing really to do with the place not being convenient. It was just a place. That's where the trial was heard. That's just where the trial took place. And again, as the court ruled, Virginia had a connection with the trial. Now, one of the arguments from Amber seems to be that Johnny Depp was a movie star and that's why people came to give evidence on his behalf. But in my view, it's nothing really to do with being a movie star. In fact, Amber had herself appeared in films and was a significant public figure in her own words. So I could never accept that as an argument, because witnesses will, in our experience, come to give evidence if they feel there is a need to give that evidence. As I said, you would most likely travel if you felt a compelling need to give evidence in a case. And also, in my view, based on the events that have happened, I don't believe that the court is ever going to accept that as an argument, being a movie star being the only reason witnesses came to give evidence. I don't believe the court will accept that as an argument Therefore, I don't believe that will be an argument to support this forum non-conveniens as an argument that Virginia was just not a convenient place to hold this trial. So that's just a round off of one of the arguments that Amber is using in this appeal. Virginia was the wrong place, therefore the court should dismiss it because she couldn't get witnesses to come. And instead, without prejudice, Johnny Depp could refile the claim somewhere else. But in my view, that's, whilst a technical argument, I don't think it's a very strong one, I don't think it's going anywhere, and I don't think the court is going to upset this judgment purely on the basis that this wasn't the most convenient place to file this claim. As I said, I will link some of the other videos that I've done on this subject in the description below. Please go and check some of those out as well. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. I am now on track for 1 million subscribers. Please hit that subscribe button. Please share it with somebody. And I thank you all for watching.